In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an amazing poster design in Photoshop. Grab your mouse as we dive in. First and foremost, we are going to create a new document. Choose a solid color. With a solid color in place, we are going to create a new layer. Grab a soft brush. Opacity is set to 100. We right click and set roundness to normal. Hardness to 0. Then we are going to copy this hash code. Set the foreground color to this hash code. We make the brush bigger by the right bracket key, then we click once. We are going to create a new layer. Grab a soft brush. Foreground color is set to white. Then we click once. We are going to set the blend mode to soft light and reduce the opacity. Set it around 50%. We are going to create a curves adjustment layer. Reduce the opacity. We are going to create an exposure adjustment layer. With the mask selected, grab a soft brush and make a few clicks. Opacity is set to 100, foreground is set to black and make a few clicks. With the layer selected, we are going to press Ctrl J to make a copy, and we are going to reduce the opacity of the copy. Now let's grab our assets for this tutorial. First and foremost, we are going to copy the podium. Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. So we copy this and position it right here. Let's grab the text. Alright, let's grab the other items. We select these two items, Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Then we are just going to position them right here. We copy this leave and position that. Drop the layer. Right click and convert to smart object. Ctrl T, we make it bigger a bit. Then Ctrl J, we make a copy. Then we are just going to position it right here. With all these layers selected, Ctrl G to make a group. Now we are going to select all these layers to form our background or base. So we select these layers and Ctrl G to make a group. And we are going to rename this as our background or base. Now we are going to create a solid color. With the layer selected, we are going to set the blend mode to overlay. With the mask selected, grab the gradient tool gradient foreground is set to black, then gradient is set to foreground to transparent. So we are just going to erase. We are just going to erase this way. And we are going to grab the brush tool, make the brush smaller by the left bracket key, reduce the opacity of the brush, right click and change the roundness just a bit, and we are going to make a few clicks. We are going to reduce the opacity. With this layer selected, we're going to create a curves adjustment layer. So basically, we are now going to apply shadows and make it look way better. We're going to create another curves adjustment layer, clipped onto the layer so the effect applies only to the layer. With this layer selected, we are going to create an exposure adjustment layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert, we grab a soft round brush, which set roundness to normal. Then we set opacity to 20 to 10. And we are just going to paint some shadows. Now that's way too much, so we are going to reduce the opacity. With this layer selected, we are going to create an exposure adjustment layer. Click onto the layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft round brush and we are going to paint some shadows. So with this layer selected, we are going to create a curves adjustment layer, clipped onto the layer so the effect applies only to the layer. We are going to create an exposure adjustment layer, clip onto the layer with the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft round brush, right click and set roundness back to normal. Our foreground is white and we are going to paint some shadows. This layer selected, we right click and go for blending options. So we are going to apply a drop shadow. So we select that. Let's move this and adjust the angle of the shadow. Alright, so we are just going to increase the opacity a bit, set the angle right here. Distance, spread and size is okay. Then we click OK. Now this is before and after. We are going to close this up, right click and select create layer. So we are actually separating the shadow onto a separate layer. Why use the word separate in one sentence? We are just going to apply Gaussian blur and make it way cooler. So we are just going to use Gaussian blur and make it look way better. How about you take a second and subscribe, because 80% of you haven't subscribed yet. Thank you. Now we are going to create some contact shadows. So with this layer selected, we are going to create a layer just beneath that. Grab a soft brush. Opacity is set back to 100. Foreground is set to black. Right click, and we are just going to change the roundness a bit. Now we have to go to settings and do that one. So set roundness to 6. Make the brush bigger, and we are just going to make some few clicks to create the contact shadow. So we are erasing that with the marks we have created. This is before and after. We are just going to reduce the opacity a bit. So we are going to create a new layer just right under the product. Foreground is black, and we are just going to create some contact shadows right here. Once everything is done, we press Ctrl Alt Shift E to merge all layers. Right click and convert to smart object. Then we go for filter. Then we go for camera raw. So filter, camera raw, filter. We just play with all these settings. Once that is cool, then we hit OK. So camera raw filter make it look way more better. It enhances the shadows and the highlight and everything everything looks super cool. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Till next time, stay creative.